Alright guys, so basically every video camera and every DSLR camera ever has had different recording modes depending on what you need for your project or your shoot. I'm going to show you on a Canon T3i. The footage that you're seeing is also on a Canon T3i. I have two of them. So this gives you a good judgment of the quality. But anyways, you want to go to menu. Go to the right just once till you see that icon there at the top. And like I said, this is for a Canon T3i DSLR camera. Every DSLR is going to vary. The recording size right now, if you just go hit set, you can see all of them. This is 1920 by 1080. That's the dimensions of the pixels. Basically, the last number is going to be your definition, your quality. So 1920 by 1080 is 1080p. Which is full HD video, and 30 frames per second. You would typically want to use this when you're shooting for the internet or for TV. If you go to the right, now if you go to the side on the T3i, this will actually just change down here. That is a zoom, and you don't really want to do that ever. I don't know why you would, but that zoom, basically, if you select that and then go back to the live view, it's digital zoom, and it's really grainy quality, and you just don't really want that. So just make sure you don't go side to side when you want to switch recording modes. You do the slider up here. So you go to the right, and then this is 1920 by 1080 again, so 1080p at 24 frames per second. So that's for music videos, films, some documentaries. Again, depends if you want it to be for TV. And a lot of shows are on TV and they have 24 frames per second, but 24 frames per second really just means a more cinematic feel to it. Music videos use it because it just looks much cleaner and professional and everything, while 30 looks home video-ish, sort of. Okay, now the next option that you have after both 1920 by 1080, 30 frames per second, and 24 frames per second, you're going to have an option that actually, this is where the quality changes. It's 1280 by 720. This is no longer 1080p, this is 720p, which is still HD and it still looks perfectly good, just not as high res as 1080 obviously, because the pixel dimensions are smaller. But, you know, most computers can't actually play full 1080p at, you know, a non-buffering, non-stopping state. Most computers will stop every so often. They need to buffer and it'll be choppy if you're watching at full 1080. So you might just want to go with 720. But the key thing about the 1280 is that it's 60 frames per second. And that really means that you'll be able to do what's called an overcranking effect, which means that you can slow it down. As I told you, there's 30 and 24. Those are the main big ones. 30 is like TV and, you know, documentaries maybe for TV, or it's for the internet, really. So 60 could work perfectly in a 30 timeline while you're editing. If you bring in 60 frames per second footage and put it in a 30 FPS timeline, then what would happen is this footage shot here would actually be slowed down double, because it's twice the frame rate here. So that's really important to know. That's actually a really good function that the T3i has, and a lot of cameras do have, is that you're able to shoot at 60 frames per second. A lot of camcorders or professional video cameras actually have 1920 by 1080, but at 60 frames per second, at 60i, which is interlaced, which is a different subject. But basically, anywhere you see 60 frames per second, you're going to want to slow that down or use that to your advantage for slow-mo scenes or anything like that. Now the last option here is going to be 640 by 480, which I can't even tell you why I would know why anyone would want to shoot at that. You press set, you go back to live view, and it's full screen, which is pretty outdated by now. Maybe if you want some smaller files to work with, if you want to just work with standard definition footage, because this is no longer HD. It's the only non-HD option in the Canon T3i. Or maybe you just want it to look, I don't know, you're going for that look. So that does it for all the recording modes on the Canon T3i. Other camcorders, professional video cameras, and DSLRs will all have different settings. These are the basic ones though. You want to know that if you see 1920, it means 1080p, 1280 means 720. This means if it looks like the sizes are closer together rather than totally off, then it's like a square frame. It's full screen and not HD. I typically use the 24 frames per second for when I'm shooting my music videos or live band performances, which you've seen on my channel. I use the 30 typically for tutorials. I'm actually shooting this with the camera, obviously, that you're watching, not this one, but the one recording. It's still at 24 frames per second. Sometimes I just prefer the look, even if it's just like a YouTube video, a tutorial video. I just like the fluid motion rather than looking almost sped up, because I use 24 so much that 30 begins to look sped up to me, because the frames are going by slower, if that makes sense. In any case, guys, thank you for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.